Getting ready.
Are you ready?
We're almost ready.
I said, are you ready? We're ready. Are you ready for some football?
And this year is our biggest party ever, because this season we're taking you all the way to Super Bowl 25. So join all your rowdy friends for ABC's Monday Night Football.
Followed by AbcNews 24 with Don Schreiber.
From ABC News, World News Sunday. Substituting for Forrest Sawyer, here's Carole Simpson.
Good evening. Congressional budget negotiators work through the day on a new budget agreement, hoping to satisfy President Bush, win approval from a majority in both the House and the Senate, and put the federal government back into full operation before this holiday weekend is over Tuesday morning. ABC's Sheila Cast has been following the negotiations all weekend.
House Speaker Tom Foley is still angry over the president's veto of a stopgap bill that would have kept the government operating. But Foley told the House he would not continue to fight that battle.
I prefer, speaking for myself, to take the actions that will keep the government open, that will give an answer to the American people on how we proceed, that will put our priorities forward clearly.
To keep the government open, Foley intends to have the House vote soon on a new budget resolution. House Republicans and Democrats caucused separately to discuss outlines of a possible new agreement. It would make fewer cuts in Medicare, probably raising Medicare premiums $200 a year instead of $300. It would make slightly smaller cuts in farm subsidies next year and slightly deeper cuts in military spending. And it would leave it to tax-writing committees to fight over raising income tax rates on the wealthy in return for a cut in capital gains taxes. On This Week with David Brinkley, Vice President Quayle noted such changes might lose Republican votes.
Many in Congress, many of our constituency are saying, don't move this budget to the left. Well, moving it to the left means being less tough on spending.
I think the administration would have preferred the package we had last week, but I don't think that they will be offended by this package.
House Republicans don't like the Democrats' new plan. Some are scrambling to write one of their own. The disarray may push off a vote until tomorrow, just hours before the government shutdown starts to really hurt. Sheila Cast, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
This is Steve Shepard. So far, the major victims of the government's partial shutdown are tourists. At the Statue of Liberty in New York this weekend, even 5-year-olds had a solid understanding of what was going on.
Do you know why the statue is closed? Why?
Because the government doesn't have any money.
From the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, to Yosemite Park in California and Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, national parks and monuments are either closed or unmanned. But Tuesday, unless Congress and the President come up with some kind of budget agreement, furloughed and unpaid government employees will start bearing much of the pain of federal shutdowns. In Kansas City, one Treasury worker blames the problem on politicians in Washington.
I'm very angry because, again, I think it's incompetency.
That view was echoed by a union official in St. Louis.
It's quite upsetting when you're talking about taking 22 days out of anybody's paycheck.
If the past is any guide, furloughed federal employees will eventually be compensated for the wages they lose while the government is shut down. But until a new budget agreement is worked out, thousands of federal employees will be without a paycheck. And for many, that will be extremely painful. Steve Shepard, ABC News, Washington.
Former American Nazi and Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke finally conceded that Senator Bennett Johnston beat him in yesterday's open primary. Analysts predicted Johnston would win, but did not expect Duke to capture 44% of the vote. Here's ABC's Mike Von Friend.
Thank you very, very much.
Only in Louisiana politics could the Democratic incumbent run with the full support of the Republican Party. Republican officials were desperate to stop Duke, so they called on the rank and file to vote for Johnston, and the strategy worked.
I'm here this morning to concede the election to J. Bennett Johnston.
Though he lost, Duke got twice as many votes as the polls predicted and won 60% of Louisiana's white vote.
We are going to build a political movement in this country to bring back the rights of the American majority, ladies and gentlemen.
The thing that really worries me about David Duke is there've got to be out there a lot of 35-year-old politicians who are watching his film clips, who are studying his propaganda, his techniques, and thinking, I can do it, and I don't belong with the Ku Klux Klan.
But like Duke, they may choose to belong to the Republican Party, and officials are clearly concerned. Vice President Dan Quayle tried again today to distance the former Klansman from the GOP.
But the people of Louisiana, as people around the country, are fed up with what they see going on in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, David Duke was able to capitalize on that.
He's already talking about a possible try for the governor's office in 1992. Mike Bonfremd, ABC News, New Orleans.
In Redondo Beach, California today, anti-abortion forces staged an ambitious demonstration designed to recruit new members to their movement. They're calling it the Life Chain. Thousands of people, each carrying anti-abortion placards, gathered along two major highways to form a human chain in the shape of a cross. When we come back, turning night into day for American jet fighter pilots in the Gulf, and later, some high-tech arm flexing aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery.
World News Sunday, brought to you by AT&T.
Did you know that more moms and pops, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, all kinds of businesses look to AT&T for accurate billing, immediate credit for misdialed calls, an operator when you need one.
This is Clancy & Sons. Your piano's on its way.
All at extremely competitive prices. In fact, businesses use AT&T more often than all other long-distance companies combined. Quality service, competitive price. Another AT&T advantage.
People just don't understand. Constipation can really tie you down. They say, take a laxative and hope it doesn't go to work on the way to the ball game. Oh. Then I found a simple solution. Daily fiber therapy with Metamucil. It's safe, not a harsh chemical. I can even take Metamucil daily for the extra fiber I need to get regular and stay that way. That's important to me and a lot of little people.
Metamucil, and you can stay regular for the rest of your life.
In Israel today, the government began distributing gas masks in 3 small towns in the northern, southern, and central areas of the country. The campaign is in response to heightened tensions in the Persian Gulf crisis and repeated threats from Iraq that it will attack Israel with chemical weapons. Dean Reynolds has that story.
When Yakov Ashkenazi got his first gas mask, he and his comrades in the Russian army were laying siege to Hitler's bunker in Berlin. This afternoon, only 10 days after moving from the Soviet Union to Israel, he got his second. In fact, Israelis of all ages are getting their masks. The protective kits include a syringe with nerve gas antidote and decontamination powder. There is also a special plastic chamber for those too young to comprehend chemical war. Most people seem to take this development in stride, but it is unsettling when gas masks go into your home.
Like hoping we remember everything and that we can just live through it in a calm and quiet way.
The Israelis insist there is no reason to panic, that an emergency situation does not exist. And to underline the point, the mass distribution will be done gradually and will take up to a month or so to complete. While gas masks might come in handy for Palestinians in the occupied territories, right now there aren't any for them. Israel says it will sell imported masks in the West Bank and Gaza if a real emergency arises. But for now, Israel is taking care of Israelis. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Yokneam, Israel.
Among the hundreds of American warplanes now in the Persian Gulf are 3 squadrons of jet fighter bombers equipped with a new, highly sophisticated navigation and attack system. It is so sophisticated that it literally turns night into day. Gary Shepard explains.
Some of the pilots who've been testing the new system say it makes them feel just like Luke Skywalker in a Star Wars movie.
There's nothing to compare with it. It is the most advanced, the best in the tactical fighter business that I've ever experienced.
You know, it is a window into the night that you can look at and you can see exactly what's going on and where you're going.
It is known as Lantern, a combination of infrared and radar technology that literally rolls back the night. Pilots can see where they're going by looking at a special screen that displays an electronic picture of the landscape ahead.
You see the rock there just on the right as we're passing up against them.
As a result, flight crews are able to fly incredibly close to hills and other obstructions in pitch darkness without smashing into them, and then easily find and destroy enemy targets like this tank with amazing precision.
This is the Lantern navigation pod attached on the right side of the F-15E. The infrared sensor that allows the pilot to see where he's going in the dead of night is right here. And on the bottom, a state-of-the-art radar system that allows the plane to fly only 100 feet off the ground at 700 miles an hour.
It costs more than $2 million, and pilots say it's money well spent. This is what they see flying through a smoky forest fire without the Lantern system. And now with it.
Makes a tremendous difference. Absolutely, doesn't it?
There would be the same kind of dramatic benefit, they say, in a combat situation.
Where before they could hide, bad weather, they thought they could move troops, they could move equipment, or they could get out and work on things. Now, that no longer is available to them because we can still come in and find them and hit them.
Pilots like to joke about Lantern being the dark side of the Force. They say the radar is so good, you can almost see forever.
I can make a high-resolution radar map of Luke Air Force Base from 30 miles away and pick out individual aircraft on the ramp.
The United States is the only nation in the world with the Lantern technology. It works best under conditions of very low humidity, which makes it ideal for places like the Persian Gulf. Gary Shepard, ABC News, Luke Air Force Base, Arizona.
One note from the Gulf. Several hundred Kuwaiti refugees arrived at the Saudi Arabia border as Iraq once again relaxed restrictions on Kuwaitis leaving the country. According to the refugees, the border opened after Iraqi troops conducted intensive night searches, confiscating identification papers. In our next segment, the mystery of the 17-legged frog and the rapidly vanishing salamander.
When Evel Knievel drops by a quality comfort Clarion or sleep hotel, he takes advantage of our 30% discount for seniors.
And after a life like mine, that's about the biggest thrill I can take.
Seniors save 30% by calling 800-221-2222. Rooms are limited, so call today.
We built this business
to help insure your dreams.
Build this business
to make you feel safe and secure.
We built this business to build your future.
AT&T built these businesses into leaders. We built them by taking care of people.
We built this business. We built this business to build your future.
I'm itching to try new Tegrin.
New advanced formula Tegrin medicated shampoo. Clinically shown to control the leading causes of itching and flaking. New, richer, thicker, advanced formula Tegrin.
Aren't you just itching to try it?
One of the summer's biggest blockbusters is not an action-adventure movie. It's not even at your local movie theater. It's at your local Subaru dealer.
You could save over $3,100 on the Subaru Legacy L automatic sedan with the Value Plus package. Now playing at a Subaru dealer near you.
Mary Brody won't feel the tiny lump in her breast for another 2 years. But she'll discover it tomorrow after her first mammogram, thanks in part to a new X-ray film created by Dupont that makes it safer to start mammography early. And for Mary, early detection means a 2-year head start on the rest of her life. At Dupont, we make the things that make a difference.
Their primary job, deployment of the Ulysses space satellite, is behind them. So the Discovery astronauts turn their space shuttle into a laboratory today, waving the shuttle's robot arm and even setting a fire, all in the name of science. Here's Jim Slade.
They've hung a piece of satellite solar panel on the arm to see if oxygen molecules damage it at that altitude. The idea is to see if a stranded satellite they're supposed to rescue in 1992 will still be worth it. They're still testing each other to learn why astronauts get motion sickness.
We've decided to run this for all the ladies down there in Mission Control.
Okay, we are waiting breathlessly.
And today they started a fire inside a tightly closed chamber to see how it spreads without gravity. It's a fire prevention test. But Ulysses, the primary reason they made this flight, is far out of reach now and reported doing well as it settles into the long journey that for the first time will give scientists a look at the poles of the sun. Because of Earth's orbit, they can now only see the sun through its equator. They know very little about the magnetic fields of its north and south poles, the outflow of ions and electrons from them into space, how far those things reach, why the poles switch locations every 11 years, and the direct effect of it all on Earth and the other planets. Ulysses' journey to the sun will take 5 years. Jim Slade, ABC News, Washington.
Scientists can't say exactly why it's happening, but they're alarmed over the fact that frogs, toads, and salamanders are disappearing mysteriously all over the world. As ABC's Roger Karras reports, the massive die-off of these amphibians may be a signal of real environmental danger.
An increasingly common sight, rare and endangered animals in a zoo, and thousands of people every day coming to see what has been lost in the wild. The loss of animals like these is a sad comment on the moral and ethical environment we have created on Earth.
Here at the Cincinnati Zoo, they have an additional concern, the chemical environment we share with the animal kingdom. The indicators for that are small, inconspicuous animals, frogs, toads, and salamanders.
Amphibians are extremely sensitive to chemical changes, and they are vanishing over much of the world at an alarming rate. Ed Maruska, director of the Cincinnati Zoo, has the largest collection of amphibians in captivity.
In an environmental sense, I think this has been pretty rapid and pretty recent. The reality is there is a great reduction in amphibians, cause unknown. I think primarily it's probably a combination of things with one underlying cause, and that's man.
Chemicals certainly are a factor. This frog is from a pond near Cincinnati. It has been genetically fouled and has 6 legs. Other specimens have shown up with as many as 17 legs. Amphibian specialists like Paul Krusling are finding it increasingly difficult to locate specimens even in areas where they were once extremely common. Amphibians come in many sizes. Frogs as big as your thumbnail and some as big as dinner plates. Salamanders like these giants from Japan can be over 5 feet long. Amphibians come in many designs, plain, mud, or green, and in spectacular colors. The one thing they have in common, it seems, is that something we are doing to their environment and ours is killing them. What those same changes may be doing to us appears to be ominous. It is too soon to say. Roger Karras, ABC News, Cincinnati, Ohio.